What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all living a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I gotta be honest with you guys, although I'm still, a little tad bit worried about the future of Splitgate 2 and how the developers are going to completely turn things around. They just went ahead and, came out with another weekly update, which I gotta say I am extremely thankful that they're still following up with these updates and presenting them to us every single week, giving us details, talking about what's going on behind the scenes, what their direction is. This is very crucial in this exact moment. Having that open communication and letting the people, who are still playing know exactly, step by step, what is going on. So I really do appreciate that they're still pumping these out. But in this little weekly update here, they presented some good information. I gotta be real with you guys. Some information that actually put a pretty big smile on my face. Now, to go ahead and begin, they actually went ahead and picked up the lead designer for Rocket League for the past 4 years, of course. He's been there for, I think, 10 years. But for the past 4 years, he's been the lead designer. His name is Josh Watson. And this is absolutely huge because for me personally, Rocket League is one of the GOATs when it comes to the free-to-play marketplace right now. You know what I'm saying? It's absolutely leading in many different ways, and it's not even an FPS game, It's soccer with cars. It's insane, but it has been able to cement its name in gaming history and become extremely iconic across the board, not only when it comes down to, the game itself, but even when it comes down to the monetization of that game as well for a free-to-play title. So having the lead designer from a game that has been going on for ages now, dominating the free-to-play marketplace, entering Splitgate 2 to try to help, revive the overall game, is pretty damn big, and I hope that they can go ahead and turn some things around. As I stated, we don't know. We have no clue what the future holds, and I still think that Splitgate 2 will be very niche, but it could definitely be much better than where it's currently standing. And then, of course, they went ahead and noted when we can, get some more information about what the future holds for Splitgate 2. And they said probably around the December, January area. And that's when we can start getting, more timelines on what we should expect, how things are going to be pumping out, so on and so forth. Keep my fingers crossed that in between that space isn't going to be too much of a dead man's land. But they did state that, moving forward as well, it's not going to be many updates, many insane things, mostly just some play tests going on, tons of surveys, and, just kind of working with the community to find better spots for this game to be in while they push for the relaunch. So, as I stated, it might be rough for a lot of players who are sticking around with Splitgate 2 and do want to continuously play. If you are going to go ahead and do so, more than likely it's because you genuinely enjoy the game. And I do, so I'll probably be there. We still got the camo grind to do, and for newcomers coming into the game, you could do it as well, So there's stuff to enjoy. But big significant changes, updates, content drops, all of the above are probably put on hold for the time being until, like I said, they can get to around December, January, and they can actually go ahead and get a roadmap out to the overall community. Next up is how they're handling a lot of the playlists. Now, they did acknowledge there's not a lot of, party modes that are permanently within the game. And the community's been saying this for a long time. Some people just want to kick back, relax, and enjoy Splitgate 2. And having these rotations going on right now where, a lot of game modes are just getting cycled out constantly, it's fun, but at the same time, it's a bit rough, and people can't really play what they want to play. And when the party modes shift out, there are no party modes, and you're left with a bunch of modes that are, kind of consisted of people sweating it up and just going extremely hard, which a lot of people sometimes just aren't simply in the mood for. So they are indeed going to be trying to incorporate more party modes, I'm assuming permanently within the game. They're also going to be removing the XP cap for TDM. Again, it was kind of a wild thing to have on, but they did state they did it because they wanted to make sure that people, experienced what Splitgate is all about, and TDM isn't really the best spot to do so. But, they saw the backlash, and they're going to go ahead and uncap it now so anybody can hop into the experience and play TDM. And they're also thinking about the permanent no portal mode to allow all players to be able to hop into the experience, and it'll be easier to, drag new players in, especially if you have friends who might be interested in Splitgate 2, but are too nervous to take that leap because they know how competitive it can get. A no portal mode is perfect for them to dip their feet into the Splitgate 2 waters, to see what it's like and test things out before actually taking the full jump into what Splitgate 2 is all about, or just basically Splitgate in general. All of these things, in my personal opinion, are great, and I'm glad they're pushing for this direction. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and discuss something that I am personally very excited about, and that is how they're going to be handling the community's creations from the lab. Yes, for anybody that might be new, you can go into the lab, and it's pretty much like Forge, where you can create your own maps. But for a while now, I think the community has been a little sad that they haven't had a public playlist where you can play, the community's creations with getting XP and actually kind of being a bit more competitive without having to go to a private match and hosting it from there. Still nothing wrong with the private matches. I think private matches are still fun. It's like a server browser that's going to be open to the overall community. You can find exactly what you want. But I do think having a public playlist would have been way better at launch to allow casuals to instantly see it right in front of their eyes. A lot of people aren't going to go through all the extra work, to try to find all these extra details. They're going to see the first thing that is presented to them. They're going to click it, play it, and see how it is. And I felt like this should have been something that was there right away. Sadly, it wasn't, but now it is indeed going to be introduced, and they're going to be putting this playlist into the game. I don't know exactly when, but I'm just happy that it's going to be happening now. Because let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that Splitgate 2 desperately needs, especially right now. I hope it's sooner than later, because if we can play more maps from the community, then that means the community can kind of lift the weights of putting content into the game, especially while the devs have to relaunch this overall title, and we're going to go through a big drought of having not much going on. And I also want to go ahead and discuss how the developers are planning on handling the battle passes right now for Season 1 with all the different chapters. They are indeed going to extend them out, so for anybody who, hasn't had any time to complete them, you're going to have until the relaunch of the game, which is more than enough time to complete each and every chapter if you guys want to go ahead and do so. And it also allows new players to come into the experience and still have a little something to go ahead and grind for. But I will put a little bit of input here, some constructive criticism from my personal end. I still believe that they should take the Halo Infinite approach, where if you purchase a battle pass, it just shouldn't go away at all. I don't know about you guys, but I think that is such a phenomenal system, and it encourages people to actually cough up cash because they know when they do cough up cash, there's not going to be FOMO in the back of their mind, rushing them to complete it because they're going to miss out on all the content that they just purchased. I feel like if you purchase one of these passes, it should be permanent, and you can go at your own pace. You can complete them whenever you want to go ahead and complete them, and keep it at that. I think a lot of people would be very happy with those changes. Next up, I would like to go ahead and touch upon the developer's perspective on how they're handling portals within Splitgate 2. We all know they said they're going to go ahead and increase the amount of portals that we see within these maps. But I think the community is a little 50-50 right now. I think some people want to see literally a portal wall everywhere, and others are worried that it's going to become a little too overwhelming and casual players won't be able to enjoy it. But the developers did say that, it's not going to be the portals on every single surface scenario. You're not going to see 50 trillion portals, and everywhere you look is going to be a portal wall. We're more so going to be seeing, something of the likes of Bypass. If you guys remember, I made a video about all the different portal placements on Bypass, and they were really solid. I went bit by bit, piece by piece on every last detail of Bypass between the previous version of the map to the new version of the map. And it flows so nicely, and it's not overwhelming to the point where it's like, you'll have someone flying across the map and destroying you with only portal movement. No. There's portal plays, and there's also map awareness and how you should be able to position yourself for, good defensive positions, and also how you can, position yourself for offensive positions. But it's a nice mix, in my opinion, and I'm glad that that is the direction that they're pushing. Because I'm still a firm believer. You guys can hate me as much as you want, but I'm still a firm believer that if you go way too hard with some of the portals, it will scare away a lot of the casuals. And I don't think that should be the main goal of Splitgate 2. Yes, we want to please the hardcore players, and we want to make sure that it's enough portal walls, because, again, that's what this game is all about. You want to have portals. That's the fun of the game. But there has to be a line, I think. And I think with Bypass, they have proved that they can find that line without going over the top. Next up, they went ahead and discussed the cosmetics, which I was kind of shocked they touched upon. But they did say that they're actively reviewing the cosmetics and monetization setup. And they also stated their primary goal is to make sure earning and purchasing cosmetics feels fair and transparent and rewarding. Now, again, I don't know what all this means, but I'm very curious, and they did state that they're extremely excited to share with us. They can't share anything just yet, but they are excited to go ahead and share all this information with us in the future. Personally, I don't really mind, if I'm going to be honest with you. My critique when it comes down to cosmetics, comparing free-to-play games to full paid games is pretty different. But if they are, willing to make it nicer and also add more methods for people to just simply hop into the game and earn stuff, that will be huge, and I hope that they do such a thing, especially when it comes down to maybe character rank, more camos, more things to work towards within the game itself. That would go a long way and would encourage people to actually open up their wallets just a tad bit more, in my opinion. The devs also did talk about the modes within this game. As we all know, they're round-based right now. So, for example, let's say you're playing a match of Dom. You don't just, play one full match and you end the overall game. No, you have to do like 2-3 mini segments of domination to see who wins the best of all of them. And they tried to find a compromise by lowering the amount of wins that it takes to, finish the overall match to see if this will make the matches a bit quicker to give people that, that feel of just hopping in, playing, a handful of games and moving on with their day. But it still seems to not really be hitting that spot. So I think they are planning on removing the rounds for specific modes. I don't know which modes those will be, but they did say they'll keep the rounds for some modes that it works with. But for a lot of the core arena style ones, they're just going to make them, I'm assuming, flat out just, one round, and that's it. A decent score limit, decent time limit, and just let people fight it out for the whole overall match. I'll be real, I didn't really mind the rounds, because I did have a lot of comeback moments due to them, where teams are just stomping me out, they're destroying, and then out of nowhere, it just kind of clicks for my squad, and we finally start pushing, the game back in our direction. That would never happen if it was just one game. If it was just one game, the enemies would just continuously steamroll us, and we would probably lose motivation by near the end, and we wouldn't even try to push back. But since the games are, segmented into rounds, when you hit a certain round, you still have a little bit of a boost to see if you can come back a little bit. It's a different feel, but I do understand where a lot of people, especially casuals, are trying to hop in and just play a match. They're not trying to play rounds. They're not trying to play multiple games, right? They want to hop in, play 10, 20, 30 minutes, and just get a few games in and call it a day. And I think just having, core arena modes, having one single match going on will benefit them in the long run. And last but not least, the CEOs did state that they want to, make sure transparency is at the forefront of everything moving forward with Splitgate 2. They don't want to have anything to hide. They don't want to keep anything, under wraps. They're not going to try to, hype up anything, right? Like how they did with the BR. Everything that is going on right now, or anything that's, even planned for the future, will be discussed with the community. And they're going to have to go ahead and, prove that to the overall community. And as time goes on, hopefully they do. But I like this mentality because, as I said in the beginning of this video, there's not too much wiggle room for them to work with right now. So they got to make sure that they're on point with everything that they do within this game before relaunch. And I think this is exactly what has to be done. A lot of people already left, but there's some people, including myself, who are sticking around, who really want to see this game succeed. But if you want to keep those people, you got to be open, talk about everything, and just bring some light to what is actually happening and make sure the community is involved. Maybe not every step of the way, but almost every step of the way. But ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much all I have for you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for coming on through, checking out the video, and seeing what's going on with Splitgate as we, progress into the future. I love these weekly updates, and hopefully the devs plan on continuing these moving forward. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget subscribing and hit that bell. I post your daily at 8 morning Eastern Time. Call of Duty, Splitgate 2, Battlefield, Ark Raiders. You best believe I try to discuss as many first-person, even third-person shooters as possible. And when sometimes we even double upload as well, just like this video right here. So if you guys are interested in seeing any of this content, subscribe and hit that bell. And last but not least, if you guys are interested in my live streams, I do stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch. And actually, by the time this video goes live, I will be live on Twitch. So, of course, if you guys want to chat it up with me and say hello, see what's going on with Splitgate 2 or any of the other games that I stream, by all means, you can find a link to my Twitch channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.